Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Kelly Sarlo. We are two of the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thank you for being here and listening. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Feeling pretty badass after this weekend.
Yeah, knife fighting.
Yeah. So this is my story. I went and took a tactical edge defense course, which is knowing how to get into or out of a knife fight. And I thought about you so much this weekend because it's going against every instinct to run. And I was thinking about first responders who are trained to go toward the threat, and just how life altering those skills are, to be able to take in your surroundings and your environment in a completely different way, like the way that you are being aware every time you walk into a situation and doing risk assessment, whether you even notice it or not. It just completely changed my outlook on life.
Yeah, it is cool, actually. And so for people listening to this, I'm a firefighter. Some of you know that, some of you don't know that. And so I think it's important to note that, to the average person, going into a burning building sounds really scary because it's something that we don't understand and we're not familiar with. But with a lot of training and the proper equipment, it's no longer a scary thing. It's not something that I'm scared to do. And I think the same thing applies to any emergency service. The same thing applies to combat and fighting. As you get more comfortable, trained, and aware of the situation, it becomes much less intimidating, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And practice. And
Yeah.
I think one of the most eye-opening things was just how much we don't really live inside of our body. We might live in our minds and we're just kind of floating from thing to thing, but it trains you to be so in your body and aware of your kinesthetic abilities too, to see what you're actually capable of, not just in strength, because strength was not even the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was being able to actually know how and where to place yourself, to survive. And the other thing too is you're looking at fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses. You're seeing an entire class of people and how they kind of orient naturally, and then trying to train them to lean into the fight, which is just fascinating. So I had a lot of fun and a lot of
Cool.
growth and respect for people who want to train themselves that way.
Yeah, good for you for pushing your comfort zone. I think that's really cool. I think that's the type of thing that everybody needs to do, is do more shit that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, we even had a gentleman in class in a wheelchair. And
Cool.
Man, did that challenge my limiting beliefs as to how you can help yourself. And there he was, just participating in everything to the best of his ability. And it's
Cool.
He wants to fight for his life too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Really
Anyway,
neat.
I'm excited for your topic. Hit me.
Cool. I want to give people a little bit of a different viewpoint. I know they hear from us lots, but I started personal training in 2008, and my main focus was the fitness component. I didn't do anything outside of the fitness component. People met me at the gym, I trained them, they left, did whatever the hell they did until our next session, and then the next session we took off on the fitness component. That was it. As I went down this road, I started dabbling in nutrition, mindset, habits, other components that play a factor on our health and fitness journey. Now, the way Breaking 90, I feel, is always evolving and changing. And the way that we have it now is we have a 3-pillar approach of nutrition, movement, and mindset. And I think all 3 of them play massive, massive roles on a health and fitness journey. So what I want to ask you today is, why, as the mindset coach for Breaking 90, why do people need a mindset coach on a weight loss journey?
Okay. You're going to chime in as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've got kind of a second part to this too, actually. So we'll see where this goes.
Okay. Yeah. And interrupt me if I'm too long-winded here.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, because of our conditioned beliefs around health and fitness. No matter where in the world you're looking at this or listening to this from, you were raised to believe certain things about health and fitness and about the beauty industry as well, right? Male, female, they, I'm going to be completely inclusive here. There's an idea of what health and fitness is based on where you live, and what that culture values. So a mindset coach can help work through some of those limiting beliefs, can work through some of those unhealthy beliefs, right? Because those aren't always necessarily the same thing. A limiting belief might be something where you don't believe you're capable. A limiting belief might be that you shouldn't be able to do certain things because of your gender, your height, your weight, etc. But an unhealthy belief too might be where it's unrealistic in terms of a scale expectation, given your height, weight, gender, etc. So a mindset coach can really help you question those things and reevaluate. And I think, like, I use my words very intentionally because we're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to teach you how to think. And we don't necessarily know how to do that for ourselves because we're steeped in what we grew up in.
Cool. So I believe that each person who comes to us is, and this isn't even a belief, actually, this is just fact. I think that each person who comes to us, no, I don't think, I know.
Yeah, here we go.
Keep contradicting myself. So I know that each person who comes to us is stronger in one of these three areas and weaker in the other two, and has they rank. You're never going to be equally as strong mindset, movement, nutrition. You're going to have a weaker one, a stronger one, and one in the middle. Agreed?
Absolutely.
And those over time can and will change. You're not set in stone to have that assigned to you as your weak point for your entire journey. That can change and will change. But a lot of people, I think, understand the nutrition movement side. They're like, yeah, I need to eat better and move more. I get that, but they choose to neglect the mindset side. Agreed?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now I think a lot of that comes from I want to say a stigma, but I don't know if it's necessarily a stigma that they're afraid to do the mental work that comes with it. And people are like, no, I've got my head on straight. I don't really need the mindset. I'm fine. But it's more than, like, what Kelly's talking about is some definitely deep work, but it's not even just the deep work. There's things like, there's light things that fall into the mindset category, like being better at prioritizing your schedule and your day-to-day choices and the habits that you make. These are all things that, to me, fall into that mindset category. Agreed?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if you're listening to this, I think what I'm asking is just to challenge yourself here on what you're open to working on and what you think is important to work on, because I think it's a no-brainer for everybody that they need to work on their nutrition and movement. But I'd be shocked if anybody comes into this program and doesn't have to do some mindset work also. I don't think anybody's like got 100% of one of these three categories figured out. You might need less of the mindset work, but there's mindset work to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the idea. I'm not going to get this quote perfect, but basically, like, you're only capable of so much growth, and that is depending on how much self-awareness and acceptance you are willing to have about your own reality, right? If I'm not willing to look at where I'm at with a lens of truth and honesty, then I can't grow beyond that. Right? Because I'm not willing to accept that and gain that self-awareness. So for people who put up that roadblock and say, I just want the nutrition and the movement, you will at some point limit yourself as to what you can accomplish, because mindset always comes in at some point.
Totally.
Where we have an internal battle with ourselves, whether we want to or like it or not.
Yeah. And now, when I first started Breaking 90, it was me. And I did mindset, nutrition, and movement when I first started. It's not that this is a new thing that we've started offering. We offer it differently. It's continuing to grow and change and adapt. It's for sure different than when I started, but I still approached all three subjects. But I had a limit to what I was capable of teaching and what I had experience to. And as we work with more and more and more clients over the years, I think different experiences allow us to dive deeper into different topics. So I think what I'm trying to get at is that there's all of the coaches of Breaking 90 have some knowledge and expertise in all of these categories. We can help you with each, but the reason we have multiple coaches is because we've got you that's stronger with mindset and me that's stronger with nutrition, who's stronger with movement. That's the reason we do that. It's not to say that any one of us can't help with a different category. But I think there's something to be said to having those different coaches and the different expertise available to you as a resource. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think I've always been of the mindset of building a beautiful team and pulling in the experts in their field, because I think the more people that you have on your team, the healthier you have opportunity to be healthy, right? And I mean, like we always say in every field, get a second opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're building a home and you hire an architect or you're investing financially, get second opinions. So it's good to bring in a variety of people from a variety of backgrounds, right? And that could be the difference between having a psychologist, let's say, who has a social background or social studies background, and a psychologist who has a science-based background. There's value in everyone and their education. So the more variety that you've got around you, I think you've just got more resources to draw from.
I think on the flip side to that, it's intimidating for some people.
Of course.
To open up to 3 different people or to open up to a full team.
Yeah.
And I get that intimidation factor too, right? Yeah. It's like I was kind of hoping that I was dealing with a personal trainer here that would touch on my habits a little bit, but wasn't going to make me uncomfortable, right?
That's a great way to put it.
And so I think that's intimidating to some people when they come into our program. But I guess what would you say to ease the person listening to this that's like, oh shit, that sounds scary. What would you say to ease that for them?
Well, I think first and foremost, like just to say, you get to reveal as much of yourself as you want, as you're ready for. None of us are going to push you to the point of, talking about your upbringing with your mother, right? This is a health and nutrition program. We're not going to push you into really, really intimate things. However, the more you are willing to explore yourself and reveal yourself to us in different ways, the more we're able to help you, especially as individuals and as a team. So I like to say to people, you set the tone, you set the pace, and we'll meet you wherever you're at and willing to grow to. So I think handing people back that control or that feeling of control allows them to drive the bus, which is great.
Yeah, I agree. And we're never going to force you to dive into all 3 of these topics. We think it's important. We'll encourage it. But there are people who come in and say, I just want to focus on my nutrition to start. And that's fine too. We've got more to offer, and when you're ready, we will go down that path. But it's fine to start with one of these 3 avenues and then see where it takes you to. That's the cool thing about this. It's everybody wants to know exactly what it looks like, and we can't give you a one size fits all because every single person who's ever come through this has taken a different journey. Mm-hmm. And it's impossible to just put that in a brochure or on a pamphlet and say, this is what you're going to get and this is how it's going to look, because it just doesn't work like that. Yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to take that, is to kind of reduce the fear around what a mindset coach is, but also open people's eyes to why they might need a mindset coach on their journey. And they probably do. If you're listening to this, be honest with yourself right now. Do you know what you need to do to lose weight? The answer is probably yes. You probably have a pretty good idea. I'm guessing you don't have it all figured out, because none of us do. I don't have it all figured out, but you probably have a pretty good idea, and you're not doing it consistently. And that comes down to the mindset portion, how you're scheduling, prioritizing, and making your day-to-day choices. That's not coming from missing information. That's coming from missing consistency.
Cool. I like that you're bringing up the schedule so much in this episode. And I think some people it will click and they'll be like, oh, I totally get what he's saying. I'm not scheduling the way I know I could be or should be to get the success that I want. Some people won't make that connection at all. And they'll say like, well, how come a schedule is a mindset component? What are you talking about? That's just a schedule. And not understand that often we say what we prioritize, but it's not reflected in our schedule, and or we blame the schedule on other people and say it has to be this way instead of actually understanding that challenging, the belief system behind that is the mindset component. If you're saying my family absolutely has to come first, everyone in this family before me, there is a mindset component there where you believe you are less than in terms of deserving or worthiness that needs to be explored at some point, because there's probably never going to be a time in your life where you flip that script unless someone challenges you, right? Because the kids can grow older, your partner can grow older with you, and all of a sudden it's the community that needs you more than you need you, right? Or it's your aging parents that need you more than you need you. So unless you're actually challenging a belief system at some point, your schedule will always reflect the things that you believe at your core.
Yep. Yep. And the reason that you'll hear me often pair schedules with priorities is because they have to go hand in hand. A schedule without priorities is just writing things on paper, right? Like, one of the questions I always ask people is it fair to assume you have 20 minutes almost every single day to commit to your physical fitness? And I don't know if I've ever had somebody say no.
Mm-hmm.
People say, yeah, for sure, I could find 20 minutes every day, or I could make 20 minutes, or I could prioritize 20 minutes. People will always say that. Doesn't mean you're going to do it unless it's a priority and you do schedule it. But that's what that all circles back to. Okay, so you have the availability. So the issue isn't that you don't have the availability. It's whether or not you're going to make it a priority and you're going to schedule it into your life.
I think too, a lot of people don't understand that desire plays a big component, or mindset plays a big component in desire, right? So if you can answer yes to that question, yes, I do have 20 minutes every single day. And it's like, okay, so, why aren't you dedicating those 20 minutes to movement, let's say? Well, if it's, well, I don't desire to, or it's hard to get motivated to want to do that thing. Well, that comes down to a mindset of how you approach things that you enjoy versus your should statements, right? What I should be doing. So there's a lot to explore to get you up and ready to get into the movement piece.
Yeah. Cool. I think that was probably helpful for a lot of people listening to this. I hope it was. I hope people are more open to the idea of doing some of the mindset work too, because I do believe it's such a strong part of this journey. But that's basically what I wanted to cover. I just wanted people to get thinking about the 3 different pillars and why they could be important to them. Do you have a closing tip today?
I do. I just wanted to say first that I really look forward to people's questions after this podcast, because I think it'll be a really engaging conversation if people walk away from this and are like, I wonder if this is also mindset. So I welcome those. My tip for everyone today is to stretch it. So I wanted to break this down for people. Oftentimes we encourage stretching, and it can feel like this really overwhelming task or to do that we know is probably really beneficial for us. But somehow our mindset, our brain starts to say like, it has to be half an hour. It has to be an hour if we're going to set aside time for stretching. So I added the word it, meaning whatever you moved today, just stretch it. Right. So if what you did is you went for a walk, can you stretch your hamstrings? Can you roll out your feet? If you went for an uphill walk, can you just stretch out your glutes? Like, just focus on the muscle that you used a little bit more than others maybe today. Just focus on that, just to help break things down into manageable pieces so that you're not feeling like you're overwhelming yourself into a 20, 30, 40-minute stretching session. And that's just something to help yourself stay limber.
Cool. Yeah, it all circles back to that all or nothing mindset, right? Something is going to be better than nothing. So pick one thing to do that is a little bit more than you did or would have in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just gets you thinking too, as you're moving or not moving throughout your day, let's say, well, what muscle am I taxing? So if I have a desk day, I'm going to stretch my shoulders today. That's probably one of the healthiest things I could do for myself, just to counterbalance the stress or strain that I put on them. So keep that in mind.
Awesome.
This was fun.
Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you do reach out, have these conversations with us. Whether or not you're ever considering coaching, still have these conversations with us. We're here to talk. We're here to be a resource. We would rather you listeners get your information from us than go down a rabbit hole on Google and never find the right solution. Even if you never choose to work with us, we're here to have that conversation with you, and that's okay. So have those conversations, rate this episode wherever you're listening to it, and leave those comments. It's all important to us. We appreciate the feedback. Have a great day.